What's going on, Tamers? It's me, Guy. Pretty disappointed with the updated banned and restricted list that came out for the JP side of the game, but that's for another video, I suppose. So EX03 dropped, and it released a ton of new decks and a bunch of support for older archetypes to buff them up to current standards. Things like D-Brigade, had a lot of fun with that. Tried out 4 Great Dragons, Exmon's absolutely oppressive, but I noticed that the super rare Chaosdramon wasn't getting a whole bunch of love. So I said, you know what, let me give this a try. I'll try to make a deck around this, and this spun off into this crazy project, but the end result I think was so good that I had to share it with you guys. So I first started off trying to build a Machinedramon deck using Machinedramon and Chaosdramon, the new one, as well as the old one, kind of following the similar archetype of the old Machinedramon, Chaosdramon decks from the past. However, I found out it was a little too slow in this meta. So what I ended up doing was settling on a red-black variant that I think works out really, really well. De-Digivolve is a fantastic effect, especially in this meta where Digimon have really powerful effects for end of turn or whenever they attack over and over again. So getting rid of those big Digimon and forcing them to the trash is really, really powerful. That alongside Tamer destruction as well as low-level Digimon destruction ends up making this Chaosdramon deck very, very oppressive. So without further ado, let's actually take a look at the cards of the deck. So, taking a look at the deck cam view here, first going to start off with the Digitama as always. Shoutouts to the home card shop sleeves here. If you guys are ever in Tokyo, I definitely encourage you to check out Shaka Shaka Toreka. It's the place where I typically play Digimon, and it's probably one of the nicest communities I've found in all of the city. So, yeah, again, if you're ever in Tokyo and find yourself here, either hit me up or just head out into this place in Akihabara. You'll have a good time, guaranteed. Enough free promotion for those guys. First up, we're going to have 4 copies of Hopmon. Getting to 13k is kind of important in this deck, and he does that by giving you plus 1000 DP if you have a black Tamer on the board, and because it's a black deck, mixed with a little bit of red, it gives you that. And then rounding out the 5th Digitama here, we're going to have 1 copy of Pagumon. Just good card draw. If I could run another Digimon that gives me plus 1000 DP, I probably would, but sometimes you need to find a card, and this guy just helps you do that. Yeah, most of my decks now run 4 Digitama, but in this case, running 5 is good if you're going to be running either a green deck, where that runs the Mimi Tamer that allows you to open eggs multiple times during a turn, or if you just want to run a control deck and you plan to go long in the game, you want to make sure that you have more Digitama so that you can get that card draw even late into the game. So this is a machine and cyborg based deck, and as always you want to cycle through those level 5 cyborg types and get to your level 6 machine monsters as quickly as possible. And one way that you can do that is by using 4 copies of EX1 Hagurumon. Discard 1 cyborg and machine type, draw 2. I mentioned before that getting to 13k DP is kind of important for this deck, and besides Hopmon, another way you can do that is with 4 copies of the BT9 Bakumon. He's going to give one of your 2-color Digimon plus 1000 DP on both turns. So the reason 13k DP is so important for this deck is because of the last level 3, it's going to be through 4 copies of Sunizamon, giving your 13k or higher black Digimon piercing, and then if they have him in sources, then you get plus 1 security attack. So from level 4 onwards, this deck really does lean into the red-black control archetype, and the first Digimon in that archetype we're going to talk about is 4 copies of the BT9 Monochromon. This guy's got blocker, attack -3 memory, which is pretty awful, but you're never going to be attacking with this guy. He's just a wall. And he also is a 2-cost Digivolve, which is fantastic for this deck. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Keep in mind, him with maybe a Bakumon or a Hopmon in his sources means that he becomes a 7,000 or 8,000 blocker, which means he really puts a wall up against a lot of those pesky level 4s that are running amok in the current meta. We've also got 4 copies of the promotional Deltamon. He's a little bit expensive at a 3-cost Digivolve, however, he does Digivolve into a 2-color Digimon for -2, it's Digivolution cost, so you make it up there. We'll talk about a little bit later how you can even reduce his cost so that he's cheap as well. And then additionally, whenever you get to your boss monster, you're going to be swinging, and his effect allows you to take out 2 3000 or lower DP Digimon on each swing. So you probably noticed that this deck list is incredibly tight, running only 12 level 3s and 8 level 4s, and that's because you need to make room for your level 5s. Chaosdramon's effects on Digivolve and on play require you to have at least 3 Digimon that are different to put in his sources to get the full range of his effects. So for that reason, we're going to jam the deck with as many different level 5s as we possibly can to have those good control effects that we want. The first one we're going to talk about is going to be 3 copies of the BT8 Metal Greymon. This guy really is the star of the show for the level 5s. De-Digivolve is such a fantastic effect. That, because it's coupled with the effect of removal, being able to take out a 3000 lower DP Digimon afterward is great. And then his inheritance is going to allow you to swing into active Digimon with your Chaosdramon, taking out those level 5 threats before they become any bigger and pose a problem. Now the star of the show is going to be 3 copies of the BT8 Megadramon. Being able to destroy a Tamer is very, very strong, especially in this meta where you have the Crossfire Digimon running amok. and his effect allows you to take out either a 3-cost Digimon or a 3-cost Tamer, and you get that effect in inheritance on every attack with your Chaosdramon. And then once your Chaosdramon starts attacking, with the Megadramon, the Metal Greymon, and the Deltamon all in the sources, you're going to be doing a lot of controlling on the board, being able to swing into active Digimon, being able to take out 2 3K or lower DP Digimon, and then being able to destroy Tamers at the same time. No black control deck would be complete without one big fat blocker, and this Andramon from EX1 actually enables that. 3 copies of this guy. On Digivolve, he allows you to search for a machine type level 6, but you're not really going to be using them for that. What's more important is that on your opponent's turn, he gets blocker, so that you can stop those attacks when they come in with your giant Chaosdramon. So you're probably asking, well, East, if I'm attacking with him to get all these nice removal effects, how am I going to block? And that's going to be with 3 copies of the EX1 Metal Tyrannomon, who, like the Andramon, gives you the ability to search for machine type on Digivolve. Again, not really worried about that. But what is more important is that in Inheritance, he allows you to gain Reboot, which means you can attack, and then you can reboot him, and then you can get the blocker effect afterward. So these last 2 level 5 cards, I kind of struggled to find a card that would, I feel like, really fit their slots. In my case, I wanted more removal, but if you're going to swap up the deck and add your own little personal touch to it, I think these are 2 cards you can absolutely swap out. That's going to be 2 copies of the EX1 Metal Mamemon. Now, I have plenty of 3000 DP removal with this deck. Things like the Metal Greymon on Digivolve, the Deltamon on Inheritance, but sometimes I want to take out a 4-cost Digimon or 5-cost Digimon, and Metal Mamemon is the way to do that. So, as previously advertised, this is a Chaosdramon deck, and I don't want to be selling you snake oil, so we should probably include 4 copies of Chaosdramon from EX03 Dragon's Roar into the deck as well. On play or on Digivolve, this guy allows you to take 3 of your different level 5 Cyborg type Digimon, place them up under him as a source. For every card that you place up under him as a source, you can De-Digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon by 1 level. So you can basically De-Digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon by up to 3 levels at the same time. And then anytime he'd be destroyed, return to your hand or return to the deck, you can remove 2 of these Cyborg sources, and he's not. That means that Digivolving to this guy essentially gives him 3 lives. And because all of your level 5 Digimon synergize with this Chaosdramon, basically you drop him on the board, De-Digivolve something by 3, he doesn't die, and then you get a bunch of powerful control effects like blocker, reboot, attack unsuspended Digimon, and then also destroy Tamers and weak Digimon, and cost 5 Digimon as well. Alright, so let's talk options for just a moment. Now, if you watched my video on getting that last security swing to end games, this card should look really familiar to you. It's going to be 1 copy of Attack of the Heavy Mobile Digimon. This is going to be your game closer if you got a Chaosdramon in hand and you have a level 5 in hand. You can play this card, discard level 5, use the Chaosdramon's effect, play him for the full cost of 12. Use his effect to pull 3 of your level 5s back up under his sources. Because he has sources, this card allows him to gain Blitz, and he can also gain Rush, which means that he can get that last swing to end the game. Some of the things that are really important to me for this deck are, first off, getting memory to work with, as well as being able to get to your Cyborg type Digimon as quickly as possible, and also finding your Chaosdramon. For that reason, I'm going to have 2 copies of Black Memory Boost to help search out those cards and then get memory when you need it in a pinch. So one of my biggest weaknesses when I was running this deck initially was Dexmon, and that's because he was a 15,000 DP Digimon. I typically only got to 13 or 14, and I was running removal cards like Dark Gaia Force, which can remove Digimon of cost total 15 from the board, but because Dexmon is 20, it didn't affect him. So basically once he dropped on the board, I was kind of screwed. For that reason, I swapped out the Dark Gaia Force for this next card, 2 copies of Iron Fisted Onslaught. This is just so I get rid of anything big on the board that my Chaosdramon can't handle. Things like an early Examon or, again, a Dexmon are really out there. I just got to get rid of them as soon as possible. Additionally, if my opponent does slip up and play 2 Digimon with the same cost, then what I can do is drop one of these bad boys and get rid of both of them at the same time. So the Tamers for this deck are really important because they are the engine by which we become very memory efficient, as well as our way to pull the cards that we need smartly and also cycle through the deck very quickly. So for that reason, first up, we're going to have 4 copies of the Monkey Tamer. So she's going to allow us to search through and grab basically half of any of the cards in the deck, either a Bakubon or a 2-color Digimon, and then whenever you would Digivolve into a 2-color Digimon, you're going to be able to rest her and then reduce its cost by 1. This comboed with things like the Deltamon mean that you can get the Deltamon out and then maybe Digivolve into something in the level 5 category for potentially 1, or you can make the Deltamons Digivolve cheaper and then Digivolve into him and then immediately into your level 5s as well. The idea here really is to have the monkeys set up so that you can get from your level 4 to your level 6 as quickly as possible. And then finally, we're going to be running 3 copies of the Izzy Tamer, allowing us to go to 3 at the start of every single turn, as well as on play, he lets us take a look and rearrange the order of the top 3 cards of the deck. And because all the cards in this deck are black, that means you're going to get his play cost reduced by 1 whenever you do play him, so he'll be a 3-cost memory efficient Tamer. So let's talk shop for just a moment. Typically what I try to do, my basic game plan is to get to Deltamon while finding any of these guys and getting them either into the trash or into my hand. Once I've done that, I'm going to Digivolve into either my Megadramon or my Metal Greymon. And whichever one I'm looking for is going to wholly depend on the matchup that I'm fighting. So for example, if I'm running against Crossheart, then I'm typically going to be looking for the Megadramon. That's because on Digivolve, he can get rid of one of their Tamers, aka the red Tamer, that's 3 costs. That allows them to rest and then use the save Digimon up under their sources as a material for the Crossheart effect. And then once I get to my Chaosdramon, I can get that same effect on every single swing. And then I can start comboing effects from the Deltamon by getting rid of the little Digimon. They save under a Tamer, and then I can destroy the Tamer that has the most saved Digimon up under it using Megadramon's effect. Let's imagine that I'm fighting against a green deck, for example. I might opt to instead go into the Metal Greymon, who will allow me to Digivolve something on the board that might be getting big, that, you know, Digisorption, they're very quick to get to level 6s, so I can make them struggle a little bit harder to get that level 6 out onto the board, and then wipe out one of the little Digimon that has 3000 DP or lower, and then I can go into my Chaosdramon, then I can start swinging into their actual Digimon while also removing the other Digimon alongside that using Deltamon's effect. And then later on, if I have the memory, I can drop the Sunizamon, and because I have the plus 1000 DP from the Bakumon as well as the Hopmon, I'm 14k, I can start swinging into Digimon with Piercing now, which allows me to empower my controlling ability with Piercing to keep checking security. And if the security would destroy me or send me back to the deck or hand, I can just drop 2 of the level 5 sources, and it's not a problem. Speaking of these level 5 sources right here, typically you're going to be searching for at least 1 Andromon and 1 Metal Tyrannomon. In some cases, the Metal Mamemon is nice. Again, against green, he's pretty good. Against blue, he's pretty good. Most of those 5-cost Digimon are really annoying. But if you can get something like Blocker and Reboot, that way you can start attacking, and then on your opponent's turn, you can start defending at the same time. It's really, really powerful. As a final note on matchups regarding this deck, I think I can say pretty confidently the hardest matchup that I fought is definitely Dark Knightmon. That's because they typically run a couple of Dexmon, and because you run so many Tamers in the Monkeys, you have to be really careful about how big you build up your board and where you keep your Chaosdramon and Deltamon at all times. So keep in mind that the Dark Knightmon X can also de-Digivolve your Digimon as well, so you have to be careful again that you use your Chaosdramon sparingly and only when you need them. I found that trying to let my opponent play something big first and then getting my Chaosdramon out so that I can set the tempo and the control on the board is probably a good way to go, but again, it is a very, very tricky matchup. And so that's going to be the deck. You know, what really started as a small idea to make Chaosdramon work evolved into this passion project, and I had a ton of fun playtesting it at locals, rebuilding it 100 different times. I remember the first week I tried this at locals, I ran through a total of 6 Chaos Degrades in a night, and I won all my games against Purple Yellow. The second week I tried it out, I fought against an Xmon player, took out all 4 of his Xmons and made him concede with only 2 cards left in his deck. The deck really does work wonders. Again, things like Digicross, you can rip out the Tamers, destroy the little Digimon, and the deck becomes basically defenseless. So if you take nothing else from this video, even if you don't build the deck, do me a favor and just heed my words. De-Digivolve is one of the strongest effects in the game right now. Things like Crossheart get destroyed by it, things like Armor Purge get destroyed by it. So keep in mind that if you can include De-Digivolve in your deck in any way, and you do, it's going to be a boon to you whenever you can get it out. Anyway, folks, thanks again for watching. I'm going to get out of here. Before you get out of here, do me a favor, hit the like and subscribe buttons, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.